Is it possible to attain freedom? You see, it is absolutely important to understand how to become free. And yet, when you are someone that is carrying this knowledge of how to be free, then you're actually not free, because you're still carrying knowledge. I had some comments where people ask me, how do I carry this knowledge with me in my daily life? And I do not carry knowledge. You see, you have to understand that human beings are operating in some sort of a mind web. That means you don't have your own mind. Your mind is connected to the mind of your parents, of your girlfriend, boyfriend, children, all the people you have in your life. Because your mind is defined by those people or by those circumstances. Which is why you do not feel free, because who you are is defined by what is going on in your circumstances. Which is why you want to transcend your ego, because you want to have access to a dimension that is higher above. Which does not imply that it is a better dimension. It doesn't make you a better person. It takes away your person. You lose your personality, which means you become who you really are. So you don't have to be scared to lose the personality, because the personality is some sort of an artificial intelligence that is keeping you trapped in this web. And you will still have access to this web, and you will know how to function in this web even better. But is it possible to attain the knowledge of how to become free? It is some sort of a complex thing to explain, because you should know how it works without knowing how it works. Of course, the easiest way to explain it is by just saying to you, start to meditate. But then meditation sounds like a practice that you can do to attain freedom. But that's exactly what keeps you trapped. Because all your doings and actions have this secret goal of hoping to attain freedom. I know how it feels when I'm smoking, or when I was a smoker, I smoked a cigarette, but what I was hoping for is a sense of freedom. Or when I was eating, when I was trying to find a substance that could give me a glimpse to freedom, but then it was transient. And that's the secret intention behind all the actions. Because that's where the duality is between the seeker and the thing that the seeker wants to find. When in reality, the seeker is what he wants to find. So it's one thing. So meditation would be the right advice, but you cannot sit down and say, I'm going to meditate now. Let's see if it works. Because meditation is not something you do in the hopes that it works. It doesn't work. You sit down and you have absolutely no intention. You don't want to become free. When you don't want to become free, that's what makes you free. Because the one, that I entity that wants to escape the matrix, is the matrix. The one that says, I want to become free, is part of this mind web. So what you do, for example, is you can sit down or lay down, and you do not try to meditate. You simply are. That means negative feelings are coming, maybe trauma, negative thoughts, maybe neutral thoughts, maybe even positive thoughts. But you do not try to cling to the positive thoughts, and you do not try to suppress the negative thoughts. And if there's like a complicated thing going on where one thought tries to push away the other thought, and you think, now I have failed, That's also just something you're naturally witnessing. So you are watching like a movie, and it feels like you are the movie, when in reality you're just watching it. And I know that sounds complicated, but in actuality, when you think that you are someone that is going to meditate after this video, for example, just know that you are even meditating right now. Maybe you don't know it, because the thought says, I'm not meditating, I'm watching a video. But meditation is not something you do. It is something that's already happening because it's what you are. With that, I mean the one that is already free from this web of minds is already here. The freedom is already here. So why do you want to have access to this? You actually want to have access to yourself. What creates this web of mind is the illusion that there is something outside that can fulfill you, when in actuality, you are what fulfills you. So there's the seeker and the sought. Somewhere in the material or spiritual or psychological world, or in the romantic world, somewhere in the world, you'll find something that will complete you. But that's the illusion. That's what's creating all the misery and the conflict. So when you sit down and you no longer try to get something out of meditation, but you simply are, because you no longer want to get something out of anything, that's when you realize that you will always complete. But when you go deeper into it, what happens is that you become aware of your conditioning. So all the spiritual knowledge from the Bhagavad Gita and all the books is what you will see. Because when you close your eyes, what happens automatically is you become aware of your self-image. But you're not your self-image, you're the one that's looking at it. And you cannot find the one that's looking at it. And when those programmings and conditionings and thoughts and feelings, when those things appear, you don't do anything about it. Because if someone is doing anything about it, that's part of the conditioning. So when the conditioning is doing something about the conditioning, you're also watching that. But watching is not something you do. So you're simply sitting there and you're watching your conditioning without having the intention of becoming free. Without having the intention of doing something so that the process can go faster, because there's no process. It's about the absolute opposite, because we've been taught to think that life is something we have to do. So there's a process involved in time. But becoming free, becoming liberated, is the complete opposite. It is stopping time. It is making you realize that there is nothing to attain. You simply sit down, and meditation is not something you do. It is something that will get you somewhere. You simply are. Timeless. And it is something that the ego has a problem with. So the ego will fight. But that's not a problem. Let the ego fight. As I said, you don't do anything about it. And what will happen is you become aware of your conditioning. So you're no longer judging yourself. And you will slowly become aware of the whole web. How your ego is made up by other egos. So there's not a personal ego actually. It's one big ego web. The collective ego. And your identity is just a part of it. So when you are no longer judging yourself, automatically you're no longer judging other people. Because when somebody is screaming at you, shouting at you, cussing at you, you do not judge them, because you simply see their demons. You know that they are not responsible for having demons. So by not arguing, by not judging, by being free yourself, you can help them recognize their own conditioning. So I'm not talking about something that is absolutely evil when I say demons. I'm talking about the conditioning. I'm talking about the identity, the thoughts. So what to do? You cannot do anything. What you can do is sit down and intentionally say to yourself, I'm not going to do anything. Maybe every once in a while you can remind yourself that you should simply be, but don't do anything. Meditation happens on its own. It is already happening right now. So you cannot do anything. But the pure awareness, which is not a thing, which is not a person, which is not a real self that you can understand or grasp, will become aware of the person. And that's all that has to happen. So all your knowledge that you think you have to carry through your day to stay in a certain vibration or in a certain heightened consciousness will be observed and is no longer needed, because your true self doesn't have to carry something, doesn't have to understand something. It is already what you want. So the seeker that is looking for knowledge to become what the seeker already is simply letting go of the knowledge and recognizing that it is already complete. And that's it. And that's truly it for today. So if you like this video, like it, subscribe, leave a comment, and have a great day.